So first, Ohio Humanities. We are the state-based partner of the National Endowment for the Humanities, which is a federal agency founded with this piece of legislation in 1965, many years ago. And this was the legislation that created the National Endowment for the Arts and the National Endowment for the Humanities. The state-based partners were created several years later out of the two agencies, the NEA and the NEH, and they were designed to support cultural programming in the states all throughout the country, the territories, and the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico. The Ohio Humanities was founded in 1972. And God willing and the creek don't rise, we will be here for many more happy years to come. But as you can see, the original legislation included a list of here are the humanities disciplines that constitute the humanities, and this is what these agencies will be dedicated to funding. In the beginning, it was very much seen as a bridge from the academy to the public, and there was an enormous belief in the power of the specialist and the scholar back in the 1960s, and the goal of these endowments was to share for the endowment of the humanities, was to share the riches of scholarship from campus to become a sort of a bridge to the larger public. As you can see from what we fund, the public humanities, as it's currently defined as a practice, is very much about asking important questions, inviting the public to enter into a lively debate in an informed way with the perspectives and content from humanities disciplines, and includes, and this is something even from our guidelines, balanced points of view, nonpartisan points of view, and as far as what we fund in terms of applications, we field applicants from any nonprofit based in Ohio. A nonprofit doesn't even need necessarily to have a specific 501c3 status. It can be an entity attached to a municipality, it can be a library, it can be even a religious organization, as long as the content is designed for the general public and is nonpartisan in nature. We are always looking for a wide variety of applications from a wide variety of organizations. We're a project-based funder. We don't offer operating support to organizations. So as a project-based funder, we're really looking for a project that is transformative for your organization, for your community, for your efforts in whatever you're doing. When you think about coming to Ohio Humanities for funding, think about a project, even if you're going to start at the sort of entry level in our grants program, that you want to develop that will be transformative for your organization, for your community, for the efforts that you're undertaking through your organization. We consider the role of the humanities scholar a very important aspect of any project. A humanities scholar for us is anybody who can ensure accuracy of the content, provide context. We generally sort of accept the typical definition of a humanities professional as somebody with a graduate degree in the humanities. Although there are many individuals, and you all probably know or represent this kind of person, who simply has developed a specialized knowledge about a topic. They might be the world specialist in one area or another, and even if they don't have a graduate degree in the humanities, we would consider them as sort of a community history specialist or a cultural heritage specialist, and they would be welcome to serve in capacity as a humanities professional on a project. Humanities professionals are also people who work for cultural organizations. They may or may not have advanced degrees in the humanities, but they've just been working in the area of cultural heritage for so long. They know the material, they know the context, and can serve in that capacity. We actually evaluate the humanities scholar each per project based on the topic. So there's no restrictive criteria on what we mean by a humanities scholar, at the end of the day, it's are they the right person for the project? Importantly, we do not fund the creation of works of art because there is the Ohio Arts Council that does that. We fund the interpretation of works of art. We fund the history and criticism of the arts, but we don't fund artists to make art. So just a brief overview, our grants program goes up to $20,000. We have 3 grant lines, the $2,000 monthly grant line for small projects and planning grants, which are very important for if you're considering a project and you're at an early stage, you want to bring in a consultant, somebody from around the country that you want to give input for your project or gather together community voices and host a forum. Planning grant at $2,000 is an excellent way to start. The quarterly grants up to $5,000 are designed for, really a significant project, but a quite targeted project. And at the $20,000 level, we're looking for something that's kind of knock your socks off. We want to see something really great. And Cleveland is a place where, as you'll see, I'll share in a few minutes, there are some really great projects that come out of Cleveland. So we're always looking forward to what you guys are doing, what's next, and how can we help. All of our grants require a dollar-for-dollar match. That can be in the form of in-kind cost share or cash cost share. So please use and think about Ohio Humanities grants as an opportunity to leverage local dollars wherever possible for a cash match, although in-kind contribution, in-kind cost share is viable. So what really are the public humanities when you're doing them? This is something that I think it's helpful to kind of look under the hood a little bit and to think about the kinds of activities that you will be undertaking when you are doing a public humanities program. We have in our application a section that asks you to talk about outcomes. And like any grantor, we're interested in applications that are strategically planned out. So thinking about goals, outcomes, results, whatever you want to call them, what you want to achieve with the activities that you're seeking funding for is really important, really helpful, and very important for constructing a project and thinking about an application. So I found it very helpful to break down a public humanities project into a set of 4 activities: documentation, interpretation, reflection, and representation. And each of these activities can be evaluated for some kind of effectiveness. You can think carefully and strategically about the kind of activities you're doing and imagine then what kind of outcomes. So documentation, for the purposes of Ohio Humanities, what we mean are activities like oral history gathering. Oral history remains and is becoming increasingly so, a very vibrant method of capturing human experience related to a larger topic. I think because of the digital age, because of the popularity of the podcast, clearly oral history is becoming increasingly popular, and this can be audio oral history or video. It can include, filmed or recorded interviews. Photo documentation. So, for example, if you want to document a neighborhood in transition, documenting in a strategic way through photographic material, community memory and heritage, if you're looking to capture the dimension of place and the human dimension of place through multiple media. It could be oral history, it could be photo documentation, it could be historic photographs, it could be media and journalism, and cultural activities and expressions. If there's a music form or an artistic form, or let's say, for example, graffiti over the last 15 years has emerged as a recognized form of artistic expression that museums, galleries are finding ways to collect and certainly to celebrate. So if you wanted to begin to document sort of local graffiti practices in Cleveland, that would be an example of a cultural activity or expression that you could document. Interpretation. This is stories, histories, and ideas made relevant to the general public. This is very much at the core of Ohio Humanities, which is quality interpretive content. that employs the perspectives, methods, and activities found in humanities disciplines and allied social sciences. So this is very key. A lot of what we fund is interpretive content. These are a lot of what grants that we fund constitute. Reflection is a sort of transformed thought by deliberate and intensive interaction with meaningful works of human culture. This could be literature. The best example of this is a reading and discussion group. A book club is a reflective program where individuals are thinking differently because they've interacted with a work of literature, a work of art, a work of film, and they're actively processing it and seeking to make meaning out of it in a personal way. And finally, representation. Representation in this case is not just pictorial representation, it's representation in the larger sense, and it means for us, according to what we can fund, a significant publication, an immersive website, not just an informational website, but a kind of immersive website that creates a meaningful experience, or a documentary like Brad's that makes an important claim, that tells a story, that says this is what we think about this topic, this is how we came to these conclusions, and this is what we're presenting to the public. So representation can take many forms through, especially the most obvious thing through our grants program is a media grant, a documentary that ideally is broadcast in Ohio, premiered in Ohio on a nonprofit broadcast station. But it can also be an immersive website, and we're very open to all kinds of digital media for our media grants. So a quick note on evaluation. I've shared just a few of those outcomes and results. Evaluation in a humanities project is something that's undertaken by the applicants. We're not asking for you to do science. We're not asking for you to prove any claims. We're simply asking you to sort of self-monitor, if you will, to say, did you do what you said you were going to do in the application? So you have a chance, though, if there are any changes over the life of a project, you would, of course, get in touch with your friendly Ohio Humanities program officer to keep them up to date so we could make sure those changes were in keeping with the proposed project. But aside from that, the evaluation is really, you're just reporting back. Did you do what you say you were going to do? If not, what turned out differently than what you thought? And we do ask, though, that you reflect on the possibility for any changes. So if you do have strategic outcomes, that you reflect on whether or not those were successful. You don't have to prove that change occurred because we don't require that. We don't require for you to do social science to demonstrate that these changes have taken place, because we simply don't have the funding, and we're not equipped to even oversee that kind of social science study. But we do want people to think about that and to think about those possibilities anecdotally, and to gather stories and data that reflect some of the changes and impact that they see as a result of the project.